Let's check it out. So this is Bellular. WoW has huge news. Legion, Midnight, and Classic Plus. I don't know if he's he's probably referring to the Josh Greenfield tweet, but maybe there's something else. And then, yeah, I mean, guys, we have had like kind of like a WoW content drought for a while now. It's over, I think. We have content to look forward to. We have Legion Remix coming out on the 7th. We have Midnight, that's still, you know, Q1 of next year. And then Classic Plus stuff. We have Ultra to kind of hold us over. Like, there's some stuff. So let's check it out.
An absolute mountain of things today. There's Midnight news, Classic Plus news, Legion Remix, Brewfest, Turbo Boost, and likely I've even got...
Bro, why is it 1440p? Here, oh, there we go, Bellular. Now you're looking crisp.
A Midnight release date candidate for you. So, with all that in mind, let's get stuck in. For our first story, Midnight Alpha is almost here. So it's going to start on October 7th, which is just 5 days before Legion Remix. But it's not just that they're flicking on...
Wait, Midnight Alpha is on the 7th? Wait, what day did he say?
Which is just 5 days.
Oh, he said okay, so he misspoke. It's on the 2nd. Bro. Midnight Alpha, yeah, we're probably gonna check that out too if we get access. That's crazy.
Before Legion Remix, but it's not just that they're flicking on the test. There's also going to be a Q&A and a deep dive stream. And it even seems there'll be a segment from Chris Metzen himself. So all that seems fairly neat, but let's look at the actual test. So it's split into 5 phases. And from what I can tell, these phases are going to be weekly. They usually have been weekly in the past, and in the chart, you do see weeks 1 through 4. So I'm thinking weekly. Now, you should expect...
I kind of want to pause on this for a sec. So this will come out on the 2nd, presumably, which is phase 1. Like, for me, when I play alphas, I kind of just like to log in and run around for a bit. I almost don't want to play too much, because I don't want it, like, when I play the expansion on launch, I want a fresh experience. But I do kind of like messing around a little bit here and there. So, like, we've already looked at housing. I'll probably mess around with housing like a bit more. There's dungeons, there's delves. There's a new delve companion, which is Valera. That sounds sick. Oh, you can check out Devourer Demon Hunter? Yo, I'm probably gonna try the Demon Hunter. Yeah, that sounds cool. I'll probably check out the Devourer on phase 1. Phase 2, it's just more like leveling, dungeon story delves. Like, I'm not gonna like level on the alpha, I don't think. Because, you know, I want that experience when Midnight comes out. PvP, there is PvP in phase 4. Apex talents, dungeon, story, quests, zones, and then phase 5 is Prey. That's like the new Slayer task, which is kind of cool. I might check out Prey in phase 5, and then I want to check out classes in phase 1. Cool. I'm just gonna like alt tab, instantly ban this guy, and then tab back in and keep playing the video.
Weeks 1 through 4, so I'm thinking weekly. Now, you should expect spoilers from this. We can see that the level up campaign stuff is there, the Arator campaign is also there, and the Arator bit will be testable in phase 1. So there'll be lots of spoilers, but I suppose the other side of that is, if you want to know in what direction the Warcraft setting is going, we'll actually learn something about that. I know that's important for a lot of people who I think want just a little bit of confidence that the lore is going in the right direction. As for other things, we'll get class updates and the Devourer Demon Hunter on the first week. And you should expect fairly substantial class updates. We actually touched on this in a video a while back, basically making inferences based on the talent trees that Blizzard showed off over at BlizzCon. And at least for, say, like Unholy DK, well, there was a lot of change. Though to get a complete picture, we'll probably need to wait until phase 4. That's because phase 4 brings Apex talents. Now, Apex talents are basically new multi-point talents that appear to be at the bottom of your tree. And overall, we're getting 10 new talent points. I believe 6 of them are going into your spec tree and 4 into the class tree. So overall with that, people were a little bit worried. Like, if we had 6 additional talents in our existing spec talents, some builds could get a little bit messy and a bit overcomplicated. Well, these Apex talents should be eating up like 4 of those new talent points. So
that makes
you'll
sense.
have 1 or 2 extra points to spare versus now, but yeah, it shouldn't really break things. And honestly, I'm excited to see what the Apex talents are like. I'm pretty happy that it's just one thing for every spec rather than the sort of huge complexity of doing loads more hero talents.
I think I agree with Bellular. That's actually like a pretty intelligent way of doing it. Like, I think the worst thing they could do is just re-overload us after simplifying things, which we've seen in the past. Like, oh, this expansion, let's simplify things. And the next one, you just overload everything again. And it's like, okay, well, now we need to go back again. Like, if they're taking it slow and incremental, I think that's the way to go about it.
As for other things, housing is going to be testable, and overall I'd say this is what we would expect, and the modern alphas that Blizzard have done are actually quite time efficient. Now, another neat thing is that this infographic just makes for a real good feature rundown of the expansion, and it highlights things that a lot of players will have missed, like the 40 versus 40 epic battleground also being a PvP subzone. So essentially you can roam around that place in the regular overworld and then queue into an epic BG version of it as well. Also,
okay guys, am I out of the loop here? Please call me out if I'm out of the loop. Does anyone like epic battlegrounds? Call me out, please. Like, does anyone enjoy them? No. Okay, there's definitely some people, but like, bro, I feel like epic battlegrounds are just not my cup of tea. You know, if other people like them, awesome. I'm happy about that. You can enjoy it, but like, man, out of all things to add to PvP, an epic battleground just feels crazy to me, but there we go. Like, for me, guys, when I'm playing battlegrounds, you know how you can like veto 2 battlegrounds? I always veto all the epic ones because I'm not trying to get into an epic battleground. I want to get into a 10-man battleground or maybe a 15-man, but I would much rather do a 10-man. But a 40-man, it's like, get me out of here.
We've seen some more of the max level world activities. Now, 4 of these were covered in a Blizzard blog post a little bit ago, but there is another one that's appeared on this list. So here's what the events are going to involve. There's Sarthuriel's Soiree, which is you balancing reputation between 4 factions of the Blood Elf military, and this is via public events and weeklies. They say it's going to have loads of TBC callbacks, and there are 4 renowned tracks with their own cosmetic rewards. So basically similar enough to say what we got with the Nerubians. There's another one called Abundance. This is a profession-themed one that they say has got fast-paced, super buffed collection across all of the zones. Then there's Legends of the Haranir, which basically appears to be magical cave painting vision quest lore snippets. Perhaps it'll fill a similar role to the Titan archive quests that we got in the War Within. The one I'm more interested in, though, is Stormarian's Citadel. In this, you protect Void Elves from waves of remnant Void anomalies, but the bit that piques my curiosity is Blizzard says it's action-packed, skill-based, and involves the careful placement of defenses. Now, I'm not trying to be mean to them, but definitely I'll do a bit of a press F to doubt, purely because usually events like that are a total face roll where, you know, it's just brain off. Now, if they actually do pull something off that is skill-based, that involves carefully placing defenses, that's a wave-based sort of defense scenario.
Tower defense, yeah.
That could be really fun. Then finally, there's Amani Abyss, which was not in Blizzard's blog, but it is here in the testing roadmap, so maybe that's something new. So that's essentially what we've learned. Phases 1 through 4 are going to go through the various zones, get us up to level 90, and then Phase 5 will add in the initial endgame content and leave the Phase 1 through 4.
I hope that on Phase 5, you can boost to 90. Usually I think they do this where you don't have to actually level through all the phases to check out the latest phase. You can have like a boost to there. Because I would like to check out like how the prey system works. I would like to check out how the Apex talent system works. I might even want to check out the Slayer's Rise PvP zone, not necessarily the battleground, but just running around. But I don't really want to like do all the story and the leveling and checking out all the zones because I want to do that on launch. So we'll see how that works.
Content all open. At that point, that will basically be the most advanced stage of the alpha, and the next step after that would of course be the beta. What's beta going to lead into? Well, quite obviously, the release of the expansion, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. In terms of big things to watch out for though, well, I want to see how the Delve design has changed. I want to see what profession revamps look like, because we're going to get a glimpse of professions fairly early in this test. I want to see the nature of the class changes and the new UI stuff in action. So that's all kicking off October 7th. Just a few days later though, Legion Remix will start, and we've learned a few more things about it. Things that really do, well, give us some pretty major hints as to patch dates. Legion Remix begins October 7th, and it will then roll out in phases. So Phase 1 is October 7th.
Remix, artifact weapons, new and legacy rewards. You guys already know my opinion on the legacy rewards. Time-worn Keystone Dungeons, Heroic World Tier, Time-warped Obelisk, Class Order Halls. Oh, interesting. They're tiering out Legion Remix. I forgot about that. Okay.
Basically, it's all the initial Legion content, so you'll get artifacts, the new reward vendors, time-worn keystone dungeons, the heroic world tier, time-warped obelisks, which basically give you buffs, and the order halls, as well as, of course, the initial raids. That's October 7th. Then, a little later in Phase 2, which is October 21st, we get Karazhan, Nighthold, and the whole Suramar campaign. Phase 3 then is 4th of November, that's Broken Shore, Cathedral of Eternal Night, a dungeon that a lot of people really did love back in the day. A dungeon that back in the day with its launch tuning was a little bit like putting your dick in a cheese grater. And then, of course,
we had to say that, huh?
And then there's Phase 4, which is Argus, and of course, it's not just Argus, it's Eternal Argus, which I guess will be some completely mad version of the fight. Now, here's where it gets interesting. After that, there will be something called Infinite Echoes.
Bro, okay, this might be some copium, but if they're doing Legion Remix this way, it makes me think that they're not gonna do classic Legion. Which, by the way, I hope they don't, because it's just too far. It's just too not classic anymore. That would just be stupid anyway. I think, even though a lot of players want it, I disagree. It's like too far gone. But the way they're facing this, where it's like, okay, it's going to be this next patch, this next patch, this next patch, makes me think they're not going to do classic Legion. Do you guys agree with me? Like, this almost makes it feel like they want you to replay and relive Legion versus with MOP Remix. It just like, it felt more of just like go in, clear it all, and quit. This is like, hey, let's actually experience Legion for a while, right?
This will be on December 9th, and it will involve catch-up, new remix content, and Blizzard says, quote, and more rewards. And, well, let's think about that for a second, especially considering the time and date, because I'd say these almost certainly will be player housing rewards, and a little bit more about that in a sec. Overall, though, you might be wondering, does this feature look good, right? Because there had been quite a few negative headlines and a bit of player concern. What I'd say is that, as far as I understand, Blizzard's 2 waves of player power changes have had a truly massive effect, and I've seen people reporting utterly broken levels of power on the public test realm, so if you want to relive some of the glory day power trip that you had back in MOP Remix, it seems that still will be possible. The other side of things then is the phased rollout. I've seen some criticism of that. Overall, I'd say that the sheer quantity of content involved here is absolutely wild. It truly is. I don't think that the phase rollout is going to be a very bad thing, honestly. And with there being...
I kind of like the phase rollout because it makes it so you can actually kind of play up to a certain point, play up to that next point. Like what 709 in the video. What I kind of like about the phase rollout is that it's only it's like a week or two. October 21st, November 4th, November 18th. It's going to kind of feel like there's a little mini patch and then there's a bunch of new stuff. Whereas if this was like 2 months and then 2 months, that would feel too long. This is like really like, okay, you're going to find groups for Nighthold. You're going to go through Suramar. You're going to find groups for Karazhan. This comes out. It's like, all right, well, now we're all doing Tomb of Sargeras and stuff, right? So it's, I actually think that the way they're doing it like works.
Bit more about that in a sec. Overall, though, you might be wondering how much content it should just, I think, help funnel players in a natural enough way. Obviously, we'll see if it feels bad once the content comes out. Overall, I'm happy that the vibes have shifted in a way more positive way, and Blizzard have also just recently confirmed that we will be able to earn all artifact appearances that were available in all color tints, with the exception of the Mage Tower ones. So, yeah, I understand Blizzard sticking to their guns on that one, but I think a lot of people will be quite disappointed. So I'll say this, Blizzard, if you want to hit like some sort of middle ground, maybe allowing people to get a new unique tint of one of those Mage Tower weapons would be a little bit of a compromise. That
I think if you want to do new rewards, I have no issue with that. You guys already completely know my stance on giving things like giving opportunities for players to get old things back, like when they were limited time back then. Not a huge fan of that, and we don't need to get into that. But I like the idea of that middle ground that Bellular just said. Like, if it's new, cool. New color, new something. It's like, look, I played Legion Remix and got this. Cool. Nice. Leave it there, right? I enjoy that.
I mean, wouldn't feel perfect to people, but it would feel like they can at least go and earn the weapon in a way. We've got news from the Chinese version of WoW, but don't tune out because it's actually relevant to what'll be going on in the West. So, China's getting a special accelerated version of WoW Classic that I would say has distinct whiffs of Classic Plus, which is all the more curious when we think about the recent private server stories of, those being shut down by Blizzard. Well, not being shut down, basically Blizzard sending legal threats, and at least some of the private servers basically ignoring them. Anyway, WoW was not available in China for ages because of the NetEase deal falling apart. That means they missed loads of classic content. So what they're getting is a new thing that is called Titan Reforged.
Wait. Oh, what he just breezed over, I actually didn't realize. So China missed a bunch of classic content. So this is what they're doing instead. That's why it makes sense in China, but not in the Western market. Oh, that kind of explains the whole thing. Anyway, let's watch. Like, if you don't know what Titan Forge servers are, Bellular will explain it right here. But that kind of explains why. Because I was thinking, why is China getting it, but we're not? But that makes a lot of sense.
And Titan Reforged is kind of wild. It's the content of Classic, TBC, and Wrath, with raids in random release order, all scaled up to level 80, with a bunch of other systems as well. Essentially, it's a soft sort of Wrath Classic idea. It's got a neat enough feature set, and well, to us it's relevant for a few reasons. Number one, Ian did a video for it, and you will be able to notice a Midnight Collector's Edition on the wall behind him. But where the story's more tangible to you and me is that previously, right, we reported that Blizzard China were saying that more resources were being dedicated to Classic Plus-like content, and that the next version of Classic would be experienced by China and the West at the same time. Now, a lot of people wrote that off. We got quite a lot of flack and pushback for that video because it was news coming out of China. Well, here we've got Blizzard saying that Titan Reforged servers are going to be the Classic team's main focus for the next year. Now, that's machine translated. Wowhead were pondering if this means, like, does the West only get Mock Classic and TBC Anniversary? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe they don't mean the full year, and I guess if I was to give you a personal prediction, I would say fully fledged Classic Plus as early as late 2026.
Even Bellular is saying it, guys. Who's on copium now, baby? Let's go. Everyone's been, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Could slip to 2027, but I think if Blizzard wants to make good player interest, it really would need to be in and around 2026. And you know what? It would actually be perfectly timed because we're going to get a BlizzCon that year. That's a BlizzCon that will likely have a World of Warcraft expansion announcement. And you may remember that whenever World Soul Saga was unveiled, we essentially got Season of Discovery almost immediately after that BlizzCon. So I heavily imagine that's what Blizzard will want to do again. But that's not all. We got to talk about times and dates.
Here we go.
We know that Player Housing will be releasing before Christmas. And when we look at the Legion Remix roadmap that has on December 9th this Infinite Echoes thing, which will have new rewards, well, we see that December 9th is 2 months after October 7th. That would be fitting the usual patch cadence of World of Warcraft of basically a patch every 8 weeks. Now, by that point in time, Midnight Alpha will have already tested Player Housing, right? So essentially, if I were you, I would expect patch 11.2.7 to drop in and around early December, and for Player Housing to be there on December 9th, and for us to get a shitload of farming potential and loads of Player Housing rewards via Legion Remix all at the same time. But what if I told you that's not the only release date we'll cover? Because now we've got enough information to start divining when Midnight will come out. So let me run you through some dates. In the past, Dragonflight patch 10.2.7 came out May 7th, 2024. 77 days later, the War Within pre-patch came out. That was July 23rd. And then the War Within itself launched August 26th. Well, the early access was a few days before that, but the official launch was
early
August 26th.
access hype.
So, if the same pattern was going to hold, we would have this. Patch 11.2.7 on December 9th, 2025. Midnight pre-patch, February 24th, 2025. And then Midnight release, March 31st, 2025. Now, yes, it is the case that when you pre-order Midnight, there's a little disclaimer saying that it will be out before either the end of June or July of next year. But that is essentially just a legal disclaimer that they've got to do whenever they're giving a pre-order. What I would realistically expect is actually March. Late March, albeit, but March of 2026 for this expansion. Now, in terms of content gap, I'd say there's actually a fair bit. Obviously, there's Turbo Boost for the current content. There's Legion Remix. There's then whatever Infinite Echoes is, which is a part of Legion Remix. Blizzard's copy says, embrace the chaos, so maybe that'll be fun. But there's then also other 11.2.7 content. Last time we had a patch like that, it was of course the Darkheart quest. That's the one that introduced like Illyria, Xalatath, Locust Walker, which was obviously very relevant to the story of the War Within. So expect some sort of prologue questing to be going on. But that's not it. We're also going to get the new player experience, which will include a condensed War Within campaign. If you want to learn more about that, well, I published a video on it just a few days ago. But with that said, let's talk about the stuff that we are going to feel very shortly in patch 11.2.5. Alright, so just a quick note on Turbo Boost. On the 7th of October, the Hero and Myth tracks will be extended by 2 upgrade levels. You'll also be able to recraft your crafted gear to a higher item level using an augmentation matrix, and Blizzard says that soon after, Warbound gear drops will increase greatly for Mythic Plus and Raid, and Valor Stones will be Warband transferable. Yes, very fun. Why do Valor Stones exist? I think at this stage, no one's really sure. But another thing that is quite nice is that Puzzling Cartel chip vendors will return, so if you want to get some nice tricked out gear, you should be able to do that. But before I leave you, there's actually new stuff for Brewfest. There's a new event which is active hourly, and to unlock this event, you need to do the intro quests. Those are the ones located at the Brewfest Festival site. The event itself is simple enough. You do activities, you fill the bar, a boss spawns, you kill the boss. And as you may predict, at 3 different score thresholds, there are 3 different qualities of loot box, and it seems you can just get as many of these loot boxes as you can farm. So yeah, you can just do this shit on the hour, I guess, for this entire event.
Nice.
Now, those boxes can contain prize tokens, some of the new transmog set items, and some new Dark Iron themed weapons. And to go with those Dark Iron weapons, there's a new Dark Iron themed set. Pieces of it cost between like 150 and 250 tokens each, so it's a little pricey. God damn, it looks gorgeous. And there's also 2 other more simple kind of chef sets that I think are pretty sweet. But it's not just that, because Corin Dire Brew has been updated, where you can now drop a new mount called the Brewfest Barrel Bomber, which honestly I think looks pretty damn sick, and you've got a chance of getting this once per day per account. And from all the wording that I've been able to see, that's it. So further farming within the same day, within the same account, will be useless, at least for the sake of getting that mount. So there you go.
That's an interesting way to do it. Okay.
Warcraft news. And
yeah, that is a lot of Warcraft news, man. We got some stuff to look forward to.
If you want to learn more about what this new player experience is going to be, check out this video next. I think you'll find it quite fascinating.
Boom, 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 boom. Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I felt like for the last couple months, we've had just a Warcraft drought with just nothing at all. And now it's like, I feel like it's all gonna kind of hit at once again. Right now, obviously, I'm most excited about Ultra Hardcore. We have next week, Midnight Alpha, and then 5 days after, Legion Remix. I do plan to check out Midnight Alpha, and I do plan to check out Legion Remix, but I don't think I plan to play them like to a crazy extent. Maybe a few hours here and there, check it out, see what's going on. But I feel like I'm mainly going to be playing Ultra until for a while. I think that's kind of the move. But that's what's happening there. Please play Fellowship on release, guys. I don't really get Fellowship, man. If I want to play Mythic Plus, I'd play Retail. I love Mythic Plus on Retail. Why would I want a mini game of Mythic Plus when the actual Mythic Plus is amazing? I don't know. Maybe it's sick, but I just don't really get it. You know what I mean? I just don't really get it.